Welcome.
We're
back.
Episode 008.
Episode 8. There's no pun to be had here.
No.
This is the Fill in the Blank podcast.
Life after film school. Never more true than today, I think.
Probably with our topic.
Yeah.
Let's do a little rundown here. So our topic of the day is finances after film school.
Yeah, financial life after film school.
And we'll get into... I guess it's more, obviously our perspective on it.
Yeah.
But,
I would find it hard to believe if a number of people coming out of film school could not relate.
I think there's a lot of people that can relate.
Right, because there's choices you have to make.
Yeah.
And we'll discuss that.
And then we've got some What's This, some tech stuff, and a movie review.
Major movie review.
Which obviously, if you've been listening to the podcast, it's going to be Oblivion.
Yeah, but it's the beginning of our summer movie preview reviews.
Yes.
If that makes any sense.
So that is what's coming up. As always, go to Facebook, filltheblank.com/FITB Films.
Absolutely.
And you've got your Stitcher to listen on.
Uh-huh.
Got a couple people listening on Stitcher. And then we will be in contact. Sorry.
A couple. You held up fingers.
I did.
I'm not going to say how many fingers, but
I held up fingers on how many people were listening on
If
Stitcher.
you can hold up fingers.
It's true.
It's not that many. We're doing good.
So that is what's in store, and remember to get in contact with us.
Yes, please.
Of all the various ways. You've got the YouTubes, the Facebook as the primary way.
God.
I know, just... yeah.
Come on.
So, all right, what's the deal?
Well, first and foremost, this is just a random thought.
Okay.
My wife, for her birthday, got a coffee maker.
Okay.
And it's one of those, and this is not like a special, oh my God type thing. I'm not amazed by this part of the coffee maker, but she can set it, like she puts the coffee in the night before and sets a little thing.
Oh, a timer, so it's ready when you get up.
So like it starts brewing in the morning, you wake up to the smell of fresh coffee, right?
That's good.
It's great. I mean, I don't drink coffee.
I've never had a coffee maker that does that,
right?
But they've been around for at least 10 years.
Oh, sure. Yeah, there's nothing special about this. But I'm just saying, I like it. Mm-hmm. I don't drink coffee, but the smell of coffee in the morning is nice.
Yeah.
Now, here's my thought. Tell me what you think of this. Okay. Same machine, bacon.
Bacon machine?
Bacon machine. You set it the night before, you wake up to the smell of sizzling bacon.
No.
Why not?
Well, I'm not on this whole bacon wave. I'm not on board it.
This has nothing to do with the bacon wave.
I'm not riding the bacon wave.
I understand that. I was a fan of bacon since I was a little kid.
I mean, are you just going to smell it or are you going to eat it?
Well, I'm going to eat it.
See, I don't want bacon in the morning. I'm a light breakfast type person.
I just like the smell of it cooking.
Yeah.
So I thought, waking up, it's like, that smells...
Well, sometimes it's like overpowering, though.
When you're I obviously brought this to the wrong audience.
You did.
Wow.
You brought your bacon love to the wrong show.
I did, apparently. This is a bacon apathy show.
Mm-hmm. That's how, I'm just... Like when they have all the different forms of bacon at the fair, I'm just like,
okay, so what machine would it be that you want in the morning? Just a cereal dispenser?
Well, that would make it easier, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah. It would make it easier. But so, like, what smell in the morning would get you up out of bed and excited?
I don't know. I think, coffee sounds pretty good.
Do you drink coffee in the mornings?
Sometimes, but I like the smell of coffee all the time.
So you just want something that releases just the smell of coffee?
Yes, that's what we're talking about, really, yeah. I just want the smell of coffee.
Just the smell?
Yeah.
And then you get up. There's no coffee?
No.
You just smell the coffee, and now you're like,
Yeah, unless I want coffee, and then there's coffee.
Well, how's it going to know the difference?
It's a magical machine that produces the smell of coffee every day, and then when I think about it, it produces coffee.
Right.
But I take it back. It doesn't have to make coffee. Because I'll just smell it, and then when I get to wherever I'm going, either I'm working at home, so I'll just make some coffee, or I'm going to work, and I'll get some coffee at work.
It would be convenient, though, if it just knew that you wanted coffee.
Well, yeah, that would be. Obviously, that's where we're headed towards. Mm-hmm. So we'll get there.
We'll get there. One day.
Yeah.
That's the promised land.
That is it. When you think about it, and that's like Star Trek. That's like where you're just asking for tea Earl Grey.
Hot.
Yeah.
Right, and
it shows up. Yeah,
and then I could do bacon.
Right.
Right. Bacon and eggs.
I just for some reason feel like the stuff that comes out of the replicator doesn't smell though.
It smells.
It doesn't get time to permeate the room before you have it in your hand though.
Right. No, you're not like that's part of food.
You don't get the cooking of the bacon.
Right.
You don't get that.
Right.
Because it'd just be bacon on a plate, which would smell, but not as much.
Right.
Yeah.
And now that I think about it, I've never thought about this before, but that is a part of cooking that is exciting.
Yeah.
Like, especially if someone else is cooking.
Yeah.
And you walk in and
you're
it's
like, oh my gosh, I got hungry now. I wasn't hungry until just now. Yeah.
Right. I wonder if you took that part of the whole process out, if you, like, they would put the dinner in front of you and you'd be like, I don't feel that hungry.
Yeah. No, you just
because most of the time I don't feel hungry
this looks
until
great, but I don't want it.
Right.
Because I'm not hungry.
Huh.
Yeah. So the replicator really, it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah. You would just.
Which is something else. How many swords are there that don't have two edges?
Well, even if one of them's dull.
Right, like cavalry swords, I guess, are like single-edged swords.
Right, but they still do have that top edge.
Yeah, but I'm trying to figure out, like, why does that turn of phrase exist? Why is it a double-edged sword? Like, ooh, it's got two sides that are pointy. I'm like, it was just a sword. That's a sword.
Yeah, it's a sword. It cuts both ways.
Yeah, right?
I think you're right. I never thought about that, but...
Like, well, and, like, knives are ones that only cut one way.
But still, they have that other edge.
Well, but it's, like, blunt on, like, not a dagger, but, like, a kitchen knife.
No, but I'm saying, they still, even that top thing is still considered...
that's true.
Edge of something. It's not the sharp edge.
Yeah.
It's not an edge in that term of the word.
What they should be saying is it's a double-edged axe. Because then that would be something extraordinary. That would not be your normal axe.
No, they have those two at the axes.
Yeah, but that's like medieval. Like, if you said axe, people are thinking of, like, or a tomahawk.
Mm-hmm. Or really, you know what it should be is quadruple edge scissors. Those are
yes.
Those are dangerous.
Yeah. They cut both ways.
They do.
And you could get got.
And there's really no reason for them to cut the other way, so you're just you're just living on the edge.
Right. Versus a sword, like, it's like, well, I know what it's a sword.
That's what I came here for.
Stay away from all sides of it.
Correct. There's a pointy at the tip, there's two edges.
The double-edged sword phrase is really a misnomer.
Right, it should just be, man, that's a sword.
Yeah.
Or quadruple edge scissors. Uh-huh. If you really want to talk about something that is
I think it's quadruple edge scissors because it's unnecessary on one side.
That's what I'm saying. It's unnecessarily dangerous, and you could get cut either way.
But you're going to need to cut with scissors.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that needs to catch on now.
It's quadruple edge scissors.
Man, the situation is just
quadruple edge scissors.
It's quadruple edge scissors.
Yeah.
It's dangerous.
There's no good way out of this.
Nope.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm trying to think if there's ever an excuse for quadruple edge scissors. There really isn't.
Well, you can because when the scissors are closed, they basically become a dagger. So it's awesome in that sense.
Well, you're right. You could score.
Although you could just have a double dagger if you open them part ways and stab someone with them.
Well, you could stab someone with scissors and then open them.
That sounds awful. Oh, no.
Yeah.
No, that's a medieval torture device.
Yeah.
Quadruple edge scissors. They called it something else, though.
Right. Right.
They called it, like, Dante's Inferno or something.
I was about to say Dante's Oculus, but that's... Dante's Inferno. That's what they called it. No. Also good for, tailoring.
I feel like there should be a fast food place with a food item called that.
What? Quadruple
Dante's Inferno.
Oh, right. It's like the super hot...
Yeah.
I think maybe buffalo wings?
Yeah, but what... There's no medieval-themed buffalo wing place.
Well, it could be. Maybe that's something they should offer at medieval times. Like, you can get your chicken...
medieval times would be good.
Your chicken, but they can also, get it Dante's Inferno style, where they cover it in this super hot sauce.
Yeah. You know what I just read like 5 minutes ago? I don't know how this is related. I guess semi-medieval.
Okay.
Is that they're bringing that Harry Potter theme park that's in Florida.
Yeah.
Like, they're bringing that to Universal Studios Los Angeles. They're building it this summer.
Really?
I was like, oh, good. I kind of wanted to see that.
I did too, but I certainly
wasn't going to fly to LA or to Florida to see it.
No.
But I'll go when it opens here.
Sure.
I was like, oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah.
It's just a random thought.
Well, I hope Butterbeer lives up to what I... When I read the book...
Do they have it? Oh, I don't know if they have it. Do they have it there?
Yeah, they do.
Oh, do people actually...
Yeah.
It's good?
Apparently.
Oh, okay.
But when I read it in the book, I'm picturing like cream soda, but something even better than that, because it's called butterbeer and it's supposed to be delicious.
Yeah.
And the kids drink it, so it's probably not alcoholic, or at least severely alcoholic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But just the name butterbeer, that sounds like something I want. It sounds like it's going to be delicious.
Well, I guess they're doing that here, but they're adding a new wing to the one in Florida. They're adding like Diagon Alley.
Well, of course they are.
And I was like, I thought that was part of it from the start. So.
I figured that was what we were starting with.
Like, I knew they had like a little Hogwarts up on a hill, but...
Okay, right. I figured we have Hogwarts on a hill.
Hut or something.
Right. But I figure you start with Diagon
That's
Alley.
what I thought, but apparently no.
No,
It's
they
some
start
other
with
city,
the
some town or
where they
something.
get the butterbeer. I forget what the name of the place is, but yeah.
Anyways, kind of on the same thing as double-edged sword.
Oh yeah, I did want to talk about things, and I know you did too.
Yeah, you wanted to.
Words. Well, it's kind of a. This one's kind of a. It cuts both ways. It's kind of
It's
quadruple scissors.
scissors.
Yeah, because there's some words in here that I like, and I wish we said them in a different way.
Yeah.
Like I like different pronunciations that are in common usage.
Yeah.
But there's other ones that I wish would go away forever.
Okay.
Okay? Just to give you an example, the first type, we in America use the word advertisement.
Yeah.
But I feel the British advertisement
That's better.
rolls off the tongue a lot easier
Yeah.
than advertisement. Like, it's a workout for the mouth, but advertisement.
That's good.
Right. And you shorten that down to advert. I like that.
Yeah.
I want to bring that into common American
Although
usage.
we went a step further and we're just like ads,
Ads.
which is better. Like I would go advertisement ads.
I'm fine with that. What I really want is the advertisement part. I want it to be
Yeah.
okay to. Well, I saw an advertisement the other day for this, and people don't look at me like, what?
Yeah. Well, that's like aluminum too.
Aluminium.
Yeah. I don't actually know which one I like better of that.
Once again, I might actually go for the.
But I think they're saying it wrong though.
No, you can't say they're saying it wrong. They're just saying it different. I just like it, not because it's easier to say, because aluminum is very easy to say.
But they're saying aluminium as though there's an extra I.
No. They're saying aluminium. So they're giving a ny to the N.
No, they say aluminium.
They say aluminium.
They do not.
Yes, they do.
Well, the Australians don't.
That may be, but those are Australians. That one, I find I like that one just because it's fun. I don't really have a preference of those two,
Yeah.
but it is fun.
Okay.
Now, one that I don't like,
Okay.
Renaissance.
I can't stand that one.
Like, it is technically a valid pronunciation.
No, it's not, because there's no accent mark over the A. Like, you'd have to do something to make that A be pronounced that way.
Yeah, but it's people emphasizing the rebirth, the birth part of the word, Renaissance.
But it's the same people who say theater, and there's no reason to say that either.
I don't like theater.
Right, it's the same A sound. They've brought it to Renaissance.
Renaissance, but I feel like it's more valid in Renaissance.
But what if you went to a Renaissance theater?
I'd probably have a good time.
I know you would. They'd be doing some Shakespeare.
Yeah, I would, and I would like that. But yeah, Renaissance. And I think the reason I don't like that one is that the reason I was trying to delineate between proper pronunciation and not is because while it is a proper pronunciation, it is used almost exclusively by pretentious people.
Yeah.
That's my problem with it. I've yet to meet, and I'm not saying there's no one out there, but I've yet to meet someone who said, "Oh, I like to study the Renaissance,"
but it's not
who was not trying to sound like a smart.
Well, right, because we're not talking about like with aluminium and aluminum. That's just British versus American. But most British people don't say Renaissance.
Yeah,
they say Renaissance.
Right.
Just like everyone else.
Just like everyone else,
except for the people who tie their sweatshirts around their shoulders.
Yeah, I guess you could put it that way. Just like, why does, I guess on a similar topic, why does dumbass and smartass, why are they kind of close to each other? Shouldn't they be the exact opposite?
No, they're not close to each other.
Yeah, but someone's being
dumbass is just someone who's an idiot. A smartass is like someone who's wisecracking.
Where they're being a wise ass.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Yeah.
But I'm just saying they're both derogatory.
Yeah.
You never want to, like, you would think, oh, he's being a smartass. That sounds like that should be a good thing.
That sounds like a donkey that does what he's told.
It does math, right?
Yeah.
Algebra 2.
Yeah.
Stamping it out. But no, it means derogatory. Stop
fine.
being a smartass.
I don't have a problem with that.
I don't know. I want clearer delineations.
Well, the one that I can't stand is envelope and envelope.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's no O anywhere
Envelope.
in the word envelope.
Envelope. It should be an O-N.
Like, I guess I think it's a French thing.
Envelope.
Because they would say, like, entree.
Right.
Instead of entree, which
we
all
do
say
get the word from the
That's
French.
a word French.
Right.
So that's, I think, where it comes from. Is
I
they
do
say,
too.
like, envelope.
Envelope.
Entree-vous.
Entree-vous.
And I'm like, but it's an envelope.
Envelope. Well, we do spell it E-N.
Well, and, see, that's the other thing. See,
we use the word envelope.
Yeah, we use the word envelope, which is what envelopes do to letters.
Right, that's why they're called that.
Yeah.
But I do think we get the word from the French.
Do they say envelope? Probably.
Envelope.
They probably just go like, well, because they don't like to finish any of their words.
Oh, my. All right. Steering it away from that. Now, there are certain phrases, and tell me if you think I'm a madman.
All right. Yes.
But I would like to eat hamburgers.
I think you're a madman.
No, hold on. You have to wait till I finish.
Oh, okay.
I like to eat hamburgers, but I will punch a person who offers me a burger.
Oh, really?
I hate that. I don't know why.
I have zero. Well, it's because
Hey, you want a burger? And even worse than that is if we go down to a burger joint. And I'm like, F you, man. And your burger joints.
Wow.
I don't like it.
I have zero feelings about this. So I have to claim that you're a madman.
It is possible. But I'm just like, hey, you want to go down? It just sounds so like pretend cool. Like, hey, we're going down to the local burger joint and grab a burger. Like, screw you.
Sounds like you're Grease Lightning or something.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it. Just say you're going to get a hamburger or a cheeseburger at the local hamburger establishment or something. Going to fucking McDonald's. It's not a burger joint. I don't know. This is where I get weird because there's things like this. Another one like that is, would you like me to fix you a plate? I will punch you in the head.
I'm not okay
Fix
with
me
that.
a plate. Unless you're literally putting fried chicken, mashed potatoes, and green beans.
No, you're not fixing me a plate unless I handed you a broken
plate. Exactly.
You're going to fix it and hand it back.
Would you like me to fix you a plate? I don't know, there's certain phrases that the way that they sound so...
You know what, though? If a sweet old person said that to me, I'd be fine with it.
Yeah, but see, that's where it usually happens.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I don't know anyone who's telling me that except for some nice old people.
They're being very sweet. They're being very nice. And that's why I don't tell them this when they say that to me. I just bite my tongue and say thank you. Move on with my day.
Yes, please.
Yes.
I would.
Thank you.
Fix me a plate.
God damn it. But fix me up. I don't know. There's certain phrases, turns of phrases that sound so, I don't know if cliche is the right word, but so they're just, I don't know. They sound phony to me.
Yeah, I'm not having as much of a problem as you are.
Yeah, I don't know. Just like it really upsets me when people mispronounce people's names, especially famous people's names.
Mm-hmm,
like I have a friend who consistently refers to Liam Neeson as Liam Nielsen.
No.
And it's a common thing.
I'd be like
this person tends to say people's names wrong all the time.
Why don't they stop it?
I don't know. Do
you ever correct them?
All the time. They'd be like, I love Liam Nielsen. I'm like, I don't know who that is. Like, it's gotten to the point where now I'm being a jerk about it, where it's not even, like, because normally you just be like, actually, it's Neeson. You know, like, I just want to let you know. But no, it's gotten to the point where now I'm a jerk about it. Oh, have you seen the new Liam Nielsen movie?
Like, no.
I have no idea who that is.
Who is that?
You don't know who Liam Nielsen is? Nope, never heard of him.
Uh-huh.
And then they'll be like, well, he was in, episode 1, The Phantom Menace. He was Qui-Gon Jinn. I'm like, you mean Liam Neeson? Because I didn't know who
I was saying. That's probably what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a jerk thing to do.
That's great.
On my part.
I think it's great.
But you know what? I've had it.
I think it's fantastic.
It's Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
Like, it'd be calling you Dreg. Like,
Dreg.
Your name is Greg. If I called you Dreg, would that be okay?
No.
No, it's not okay.
Yeah.
It's someone's name. Get it right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have a problem
Liam
with
Nielsen's, that would be really annoying. Especially if it repeatedly happened.
And then I don't like phrases that prove to me that people either don't know or don't care how the English language works. Like for a while at a certain taco place around here, they were having a thing called Break Fiesta.
Oh, yeah. No. I'm
Unacceptable.
With
You don't know, obviously, how the English language works if you're having a break fiesta. Because what that means is that you're taking a break from your partying.
Yeah.
Because breakfast, which is the word that they're trying to...
You're breaking your fast.
You're breaking your fast.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So you can't have a break fiesta unless we've been partying, and you go, all right, enough.
Yeah, let's have a break.
I got to get some sleep. That's a break fiesta.
Yes.
It does not imply Mexican food in the morning.
No, it doesn't.
And I don't like this. There's many things like this.
That's a bad one. I don't like that one at all.
I don't know. Learn the English language, folks. Learn how it works.
Fiesta.
Break fiesta. Get out of here with that. God.
That sounds like a Taco Bell thing.
It wasn't. It was a Del Taco thing.
Oh, okay.
It was a Del Taco thing.
Well, because they do like... Oh, no, Taco Bell, they just invent things. They're just like fourth meal.
Fourth meal for when you're drunk.
And I'm like... We already have like a name for... There's about 7 meals that are
are possible throughout the day. I know we eat like hobbits in this country.
Yeah, you couldn't have given it its own meal name.
Right.
Like what it typically would be called is a midnight snack.
Midnight snack is what we all
That's
refer
what
to
they're
it as.
referring to as fourth
But no,
meal.
they want it to be a whole meal. Midnight snack is like you grab some chips.
That's true. They're like,
or
you
a
should
cookie.
eat a massive amount of food.
Right, you should eat a f***ing burrito at 2 in the morning. And the only time that anybody ever does that is if they've been out all night drinking. Like, when do you feel like a burrito at 2 in the morning?
No.
Rarely, right?
No, even if you're awake, you're usually like, I gotta go to bed.
I gotta go to bed.
You
and maybe I'll have a midnight snack, a cookie.
Unless you're on your way back from a party.
Right.
You're like, oh my God, I'm so hungry right now.
Right, or you've been working late or
Forgot
something.
to eat.
Right.
Yeah.
You've been working late. Sometimes we...
Yeah, but then I just call it late dinner.
Right.
It's not fourth meal. Because it's probably my third meal. Mm-hmm. Like, that's usually, when you're eating at that time, it's usually your third meal.
Right.
It's usually that you missed a meal somewhere in there.
And given what I just said a minute ago, if in fact you eat your quote-unquote fourth meal...
That would be a break fiesta.
Then you don't know.
Yeah.
I suppose
you
it
might
would.
have been at a party.
Yeah, that's right. You're breaking your fiesta. But what I'm saying is you don't get to call breakfast. You don't get to call it that.
Why not?
Because you never fasted.
Well, you fasted for like 4 hours instead of the usual 6
That's
to
not
8.
a fast. That's just taking
That's
some
just
time
regular time between meals.
Yes. Versus if you
That's
go to
true.
bed at 9 and you wake up at 6 or 7,
Yeah.
that's a good 10 hours.
You're just eating at that point.
Right.
What do you call that meal?
Well, if you've been asleep, you've been away from meals for 10 hours.
That's a fast.
That's a fast.
Yeah. What
That's
if
almost half a
What
day.
if you got in at 4 a.m., had fourth meal,
And had fourth meal.
and then you went to bed and got up at like 9,
How many hours is that? What time did you have your fourth meal?
4 a.m.?
You had it at 4.
Yeah.
Only 5 hours?
Yeah. Does that count? Because I don't.
No, it's an early lunch.
That's a early. Okay.
Maybe a brunch.
It's a brunch at 9. That's an early brunch.
Well,
Are you saying? Oh, see, now you could just argue that the 4 a.m. was your breakfast
correct.
because that was the
That
first
was-
meal of that day.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah.
Even if you weren't fasting.
Correct.
But you can't call it a breakfast then, according
Right.
to you.
What I want people to
I'm just trying to
recognize is
come
that
up with
we
yeah.
breakfast, and it's actually break fast. This is what I'm trying to emphasize here.
You want people to realize that?
Yes.
Because then
Then they will speak the English language correctly. I'm tired of people not knowing what words mean.
okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's
It's. I'm sorry. I kind of went off on a rant there. I was just upset.
fine.
And don't write in about burger joints now.
let's
Stuff your burger joints in a sack.
I'm gonna suggest we move on to the topic of the day.
Fine.
Boy, we got your topic today. Topic today to tell you.
Topic today.
Topic today.
Tell you.
Yeah, we'll tell you about it
Yeah. So, all right.
Financial
so you
life.
get out of film school
after film school.
or college for a lot of people too.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be the same, but
Well, no, it's not. It's not. It's going to differentiate because
yeah.
most people end up with a job, like a job where they work,
or at least
and-
that's what they're aiming for. They get
Yeah.
they're looking for a job.
Yeah, those, are hard. Are few those kinds of jobs, like a business job, or you're going to go into marketing or whatever.
Right.
That kind of stuff is few and far between in the film industry.
Right.
I would say.
Right. I mean, even if you get an internship, like if you get an internship at IBM or something,
Yeah.
there's chances for you to move up. You can get an entry level position. You move up. You move up. You
Yeah.
move up. You know.
Right, but you're going to get into a job where you're going to work 5 days a week,
40 hours a week,
whatever,
right.
and you're going to get some sort of benefits of kind, or at
Right.
some
What,
point
what
you'll
most
see
people consider a
benefits.
normal American job.
Yeah,
You know.
those are the jobs that exist at the studio in Hollywood, and those are all basically, I would say, executive level, unless you're a janitor.
But even those are more transitory than a normal.
They are.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
true.
It's-
Those people move around.
Yeah. It's not quite the same.
No, and so yeah, I would argue that it's and this is something that I think has happened in the last 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's become a much more freelance oriented business
Yeah.
where, or more like contract, like, okay, you're on this film,
Right. Well,
and
here.
then when this film's over, goodbye, here's your check.
Right. Good luck.
I hope that you know someone who has another thing lined up, or you've been working to line something else up in the meantime.
Correct. Now, this is obviously was not true in the old studio system.
Right. That's what I'm trying to. That's what I'm getting at.
Right.
It's a
It's more. It's
newer
longer
thing.
than 20 years. It's.
No, but it's getting more and more. Like
Even- yes, yes.
It used to be that if you wanted something edited, you went to an editing house and they assigned you to one of their in-house editors who were
Right.
employed by that editing house.
Now you don't need
and
to do
now
that anymore.
those do still exist, but now you can just find someone like you or me,
Right.
who will edit your project for you, or
Exactly.
shoot your, or do all of it. So it used to be you had to go to not necessarily studios, but smaller companies that would provide those services, and
Right.
they had permanent employees.
Right.
And
Or
now,
even like
even that's going away.
correct, and you had to have telecine done and things like that,
Yeah.
where there were a bunch of small businesses like where you could get a regular job.
Yeah.
In a telecine house versus
Which you can still do, but
the demand is just not
the
there.
demand isn't there as much, so the
Everything-
jobs are fewer, and
Right.
people hang on to them because you're getting benefits and you're
Now,
getting salary.
now, I do want to start out by saying this topic is really for the fools in our
Oh, yeah.
fools, bastards, and rich people groupings that we've made in the past.
Yeah.
Rich people, you'll be fine. Bastards, whatever. I don't care. But fools, chances are you went through film school, enjoying your time there, trying to learn as much as you could, trying to work on films, but you weren't necessarily always super duper focused on exactly what you were going to do when you got out of film school.
Well, no, I mean, you thought you knew what you were going to
You
do.
thought you knew what you're going to do, which
But
was
then
you
you're
were
going to
make a film,
Either
everybody's going to love it.
Yeah,
you're gonna-
and depending on where you are when you're listening to this, you either got out or you're going to get out and be like,
right.
that is not.
It may not happen for you like that.
not-
I'm not saying it can't. I'm
No,
just saying
it can, absolutely can.
the percentages are against you.
Yeah,
That does not mean that you shouldn't try.
right.
Try hard. Now, there's a single choice that you will be faced with after leaving film school, which I think is going to define your life for the next few years and will either lead you down the road to ruin or just out of filmmaking altogether.
Or there's the weird quasi middle loitering ground.
Right, which hopefully
But-
you don't have to do.
Because you're going to get out and you're going to be like, okay, well, here's my choices. Either I have a job right now, in which case, great,
Go.
I'll go start my life.
Right.
Or I don't have a job. I guess I have to move home or something like that, right?
Right.
Like, how are you? I don't know where you're going to live.
Right.
Or move somewhere with a bunch of friends and work weekend to weekend, kind of a thing.
Right.
Um,
But really, your main choice is between getting a regular job. By a regular job, I mean working at McDonald's or Target or
whatever,
a bank or whatever.
bank, retail, something.
Right, so- and there's nothing wrong with that. Or basically just going, I'm going to take my psychological machete and hack my way through the jungle of filmmaking.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out there and I'm not going to get a normal job. I'm going to force myself to make a living somehow with the skills that I gained in film school.
Yeah.
Difficult, but it can be done.
Yeah.
Those are your choices. Because even if you get a real job, your chances are you're going to do stuff on the weekend. Now, my personal feeling on this was, at least the reason I chose the path that I did, was that I felt like the people I've known who've gotten to regular jobs and started doing that while on the side trying to maintain that film aspect.
Yeah. It's hard to do.
It's hard to do, and you end up getting trapped. End up getting caught up in the regular job and going places there, and less and
And
less
the
time.
fact that that's what's providing you with your income.
Right, so you can't just
And
drop it.
And you reach a certain point where you're like, well, this is how much I have to make to survive each month.
Right,
And I need to work this many hours to make that.
right.
I had a type job like that, and I purposefully limited myself on the number of hours I would work.
So did I. Although I will say, at least because I worked at the Magic Kingdom, Disneyland.
Yeah.
But I was a tour guide there, so I was actually utilizing skills I had gained in college.
Yeah, doing acting stuff. Yeah.
Right. So I felt like at
Felt
least
a little bit more fulfilled in it.
correct.
Yeah.
Correct. At least it was a normal job where I was going for regular hours,
Yeah.
but it was utilizing like my goal in getting jobs, and this is I guess my tip to everybody is even if you have to get a regular job, try to find a regular job that is in line with what you learned or what you like to do, so that at least you're keeping those skills sharp.
Yeah.
Because the number one enemy of filmmaking and being able to do anything is time.
Yeah.
The less time you do it,
Yeah.
it's like anything, it atrophies.
Yeah.
So that would be why I think both of us at a certain point just decided I've got to just find a way to keep doing this, only this. And I think we've talked about this briefly in the past, although I don't know that you and I are where we ideally where we want to be. You and I are both making a living
doing that,
doing nothing but shooting, editing, acting, this type of stuff.
Yeah, and that right. So there's at least that,
and that
whether
and
the degree of success. That's our own personal feelings.
Correct. And I only bring this up to demonstrate our understanding of this situation as we go forward and talk about
but there's a good at least 35% of people who graduate with a degree in film and then never go on to have a career in film.
I would say it's probably higher than that.
It might be.
I would say it's probably most of the people, and I would say 80% of the people I know that I went to school with that I'm still in contact with, they're not doing it anymore.
Yeah. I would say, actually, a lot of the people that I went are, but I know a pretty big number that aren't.
Right.
So
I would say that the number of people who aren't doing it was higher in the theater program.
Oh, okay.
Than the number of people.
That probably makes a little more sense too.
Yeah, it's easier to give up on that dream.
Well, it's easier to think that you're good, to have talent, and like it's easier to not have talent at acting.
Yeah.
Than not be able to learn certain skills.
Well, and that was one of the biggest things, and I would say this to all of any actors who are listening to this. Learn the technical side of film.
Yeah.
Because I definitely thought that that's what side I was going to be. I was going to be on the talent side of stuff, but I've gotten a lot more work and been able to sustain myself by knowing the other parts because I also studied film.
Yeah. But the hard part is that it's not. So if you are like, okay, I'm going to make sure that I'm doing something involving film or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. Then you got to realize that it's not necessarily going to be this thing where you get your benefits and you get your salary and you get this.
Right.
It's more than most of the available jobs out there are
freelance,
project by project, event by event.
Right. And quite frankly, even if you talk to a lot of people who work in Hollywood, they're doing that on a grand scale. Right. You know what I'm saying? Although it's much easier for Tom Hanks to know that he's going to have a job next. Yeah. He still is technically doing what we're doing.
Yeah, and they have, and that's what's weird, because I guess we can talk about this a little bit. There's the different guilds. Right. And those are almost, especially the technical ones now, are almost a catch-22, and SAG is too.
Oh, yeah.
Almost catch-22s to get in there.
You need to...
Because you need a certain number of hours working on a union project to get into the guild, but you need to be in the guild to work on a union project. Yep. So the only way you can get in is to have someone who's in the guild bring you, like, basically, if let's say you're an editor, you have to have a guild editor bring you on as an assistant editor, and you get paid the guild rate. Right. And then, in theory, you would have worked enough hours to be able to join the Editors Guild. Right. But the guild is going to be like, why didn't you bring on
someone else,
assistant editor who's already in the guild?
That's why you need to be so good that they can say, well, this guy is really, really good.
Or have a really good friend who can pull you in that way.
Right, exactly.
So that requires certain connections that
Now, it's not impossible.
No. A lot of people, obviously, the guilds grow and change, and I haven't found that connection, but I know some people who have. So.
Right. So it is possible.
Yeah.
And this kind of brings me to my point.
But that's how you would get to this point where you're receiving the benefits and things like that.
Correct.
You're in that guild.
Correct.
And now there's work available, a different pool of work available to you.
Right. You still have to hustle and stuff like that, but you're in the game, so to speak. Yeah. Which brings me to really what my point is, that if you're going to choose to hack it, just go out there and do your thing. Job security is not something that you can hope for. No. You can't go in because there is a certain level of comfort in knowing I work this many hours a week, I have my benefits, I always get paid my salary. Yeah. Right. And doing what we do, being a freelancer and stuff like that, you're not going to have that level of security. There's going to be sometimes, basically what I'm saying is you have to be self-motivated. You're going to have to go out there, you're going to have to beat down some doors, you're going to have to talk to people, you're going to use any opportunity you can. When you're on one shoot and you meet somebody new, you're giving them cards. You're saying, "Here, I do all this stuff." You got to talk yourself up.
Yeah,
a bit.
It takes it, and for certain people, like especially like me, and maybe a little bit less degree to you because you're an outgoing actorish type. But that took me a while to figure out how to do.
Well, right,
like I wasn't comfortable doing that, and it takes you a while. No, it does, and I don't feel like I'm imposing. Right, and at first I did. So it takes you a while to figure out just how you personally can go about doing that and feel okay with it and not feel like you're jamming stuff in people's faces and being like, do this,
Right, exactly.
But you do have to be able to do that is when you talk to someone, be like, oh, just throw that little reminder in there. Hey, if you got anything else coming down.
Right, send them emails a week later just to remind them, remember when we talked? You still need somebody? I'll do
Yeah, I can't tell you how many people that I know finally got work from literally badgering someone via like email. Right. Like, and you think about it and you're like, oh my God, are you kidding me? You emailed that person every other day? Right. And you're like, yeah, and you're like, well, if I was that person, I would have been like, God,
I'm never giving them anything.
Never giving you anything. But
that's not the way it works. That's not the way it works. You got to go out there, and you got to be prepared to carry multiple jobs. Yeah. If you want to make any money. Yeah. Because it's not just to make enough money, because that is the one good thing I would say, generally speaking, is that when you and I make money, we make pretty good money.
Yeah, it's good money.
It's good money.
It's just that you don't make money every day of the week.
Correct. Which is why you have to have multiple jobs. It's not so that because each job pays so bad. No, each job pays really well. But you need to fill in the gaps.
Right. If you only work at one job once a week, well, then that's not going to be the pay's fine for that day or 2 days, but it's not going to be enough to pay the whole month. What you need.
Well, like recently, I worked one of my jobs enough that I know I have 2 months rent in the bank.
Yeah.
Like I don't have it right this second, but I know that coming down the line, my paychecks, I have my next 2 months rent totally covered.
Right.
After that, I have no idea if I'm going to have
right. Because you don't know if they're going to call you or what they have. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's just something that you have to be okay with.
Yeah. There is a certain amount of month-to-month living that just goes on. Right.
And you have to be prepared for dry spells, which means you need to put some money away.
Yeah.
You need to be prepared for taxes, because a lot of times...
Well, that's another thing that's a different... Yeah, because you're going to receive 1099 type.
Right, because you're not getting a W-2.
You're getting stipends. You're not getting W-2s. So you're going to have to pay your own 13.5%.
And according to the government, you are self-employed.
Yeah.
So you need to be prepared... a lot. It can actually behoove you to have your own business that you can file under and stuff like that.
So yeah, no job security. So that's another topic to get into. Then is what do you do if you don't? What do you do on a day like today, where neither you or I have a deal going on, so we're recording a podcast?
Well, you could lay in bed and eat Cheetos.
Yeah,
you could.
Yeah.
Which I will say...
Sometimes you do.
Sometimes you do. Sometimes that's exactly what you do. Right. You just lay in bed and watch Oprah or whatever's on. You know what I'm saying? But eventually, and it doesn't take that long, it takes less time than you think it will, that begins to affect your self-esteem.
Yeah.
Because you're laying there like, I am the worst human being alive. And you feel like, I need to do something. And self-esteem is something I think is important to keep in mind. I guess the number one thing about this whole thing is know yourself. If you're not a person who can go out there and find the jobs or get do that, this is not for you. You do have to be a little bit tougher than the average in order to go down this path, because you will go through times when you're like, I don't know how I'm going to pay rent this month, or I don't know where
I have no one else to call.
I have no one else to call. There's no work coming in.
Yeah.
And if you're like me, I'm married.
Yeah.
Which means that if my ship sinks, I take down my wife with me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now on the other side of that, of course, she helps out.
Yeah.
But still, it's definitely something that I know I personally worry about is, I don't want to be a burden on your fellow people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that part of it definitely takes a toll on you.
Well, that's really that's a personal responsibility thing.
Yeah.
But I know a couple people who I'm like, I can't stand you, because they're like you. They're married, but they're just like, oh, I'm going to be a filmmaker. And I'm like, yeah. But they don't do anything all day long. And their spouse brings in all the money. And I personally could never.
I would not feel comfortable
go work
with
at
that.
McDonald's.
Right, exactly.
I would not,
well, you have to reach a point where I'm not bringing in
there's something more
anything.
important than
Yes.
me and what I feel like I want for my career.
Right.
It's called my family.
It's called your family. Now, fortunately for me, I am bringing in enough money that I can feel. Now, I will say right now, my wife does bring in more than I do.
Yeah.
On a regular basis. There are occasions where I bring in a lot more than she does.
Yeah.
Because of various jobs converging at the same time, and all of a sudden it's just like,
hey, look,
I'm a rich man.
Yeah.
But regularly, securely, she brings in more than I do.
Right.
Which is something you have to... I'm not the kind of guy who's going to freak out about that.
Yeah.
I think that's probably because of the way I grew up and stuff.
Yeah.
But it is something to consider.
Yeah.
Can you be okay with that?
Yeah.
And can you be okay with not bringing in consistent money?
Yeah.
Because some people really can't deal with that.
Yeah.
It's really like... It's too stressful.
Mm-hmm. They would... Yeah, that's why there's a lot of people who don't end up doing it, because they just eventually... they may do it for a couple years and then just be like, I
can't handle this.
I can't handle it. I just got to go. Here's this opportunity that came up to just go work at, whatever in the office at this place.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take it.
I'm going to take it.
Yeah. Because I'm going to be able to get the rent that I need and the money that I need and have a comfortable existence without having to worry about that. You don't have to think about, okay, what's tomorrow? Do I have work tomorrow? No, I don't. Okay, who can I email? Who can I call?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's just something you have to decide for yourself.
Well, and it's not even, it's half decision and it's half adjusting to it. Like for me, it was more of adjusting to it.
Right.
I wasn't prepared for that to be how it is, and it took me a long time to be okay with that.
Right.
You
And
know?
for each person, it's different.
Yeah.
So you like once again, I guess which is true of anything in life, but especially with this, you have to know yourself. You have to be comfortable with yourself and prepared for.
Yeah, and I have to say that one of the things that helps your self-esteem is once you can kind of get rolling in this, then you can have confidence in your abilities.
Correct.
Once you've got people that are calling you instead of you going all around being like, please, 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 please. Once you get people that just call you and go, hey, I got this thing that day, you want to do it?
Yes.
Then that starts to build confidence in you that,
absolutely,
oh, okay,
absolutely.
I have the capabilities, I can do with that. And that helps in all the other aspects. That permeates everything else.
Right. See, and I guess my philosophy of life, and I hate to get deep on you here, my philosophy of life very much plays into how I deal with this, which is you can't have the highest of highs without the lowest of lows.
Yeah.
You can be safe and go right down the middle, but you'll never get the really exciting parts, and you'll never get the really sad, scary parts.
Yeah.
You'll just be safe and fine all the way through. Versus I do feel like in the time that we've been spending doing our various things, we don't, there's been moments where I've just been panicked and depressed, and like, I don't know how I'm going to get up tomorrow because I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like I have nothing.
Yeah.
And then there's been other times where you're like, oh my God, is this really happening?
Yeah.
And you get really excited. And
yeah.
Now I still have not hit the highest of highs that I want to hit.
Yeah.
But I also have not hit the lowest of lows that I don't want to hit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it is a balancing act.
Yeah.
It definitely is a balancing act. And I guess what you need to resign yourself to, especially starting out, and this is, I guess, the ultimate conclusion to do you get a real job or do you hack it, is are you willing to do work for nothing? Are you willing to spend your own free time either writing your screenplays when no one's paying you to do that?
Yeah.
Because you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Are you willing to edit something for somebody for nothing so that hopefully they'll call you in the future? Like, you got to play the...
Yeah, those are the toughest decisions. The do I do this gig for free, hoping that later on then they'll call me back for something, because that's such a tightrope, and you really have to... Like, for me, I mean, I used to do a lot of stuff for free and then quickly realized, oh, nobody ever calls you back.
Right.
So you have to be really careful about who you offer free work to, because honestly, the people that are going to call you back will not ask you to do it for free in the first place.
That's kind of
true.
For
the most part.
Right.
Unless
even if they offer you just a little something.
Yes, exactly.
The key here, I think, that we've learned is not to do something for free, but to do something for...
way less than what
way
it's worth.
Discounted.
Yeah.
So
that does pay off more often than doing it for free does. Doing it for free almost never pays off, because that's a person who's basically
using you,
taking advantage of you, because they're not intending to pay you for this, so why would they intend to pay you later?
Right.
Whereas someone who's like, all right, this is the deal, we're going to do this one, and then, whatever, hopefully we can do more or whatever it is, and then when we do more, we'll have more money, blah, 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 blah.
Right. You do it.
You have to weigh out, you have to know, you have to talk to the person and see how much you trust them.
Of course, case by case.
There's nothing, there's some people who will tell you never work for free, and I'm like, no.
Well,
I probably wouldn't work for free, but even time that I have worked for free, people will be like, okay, we got you this gift card. Or so, like, people will give you something if they have good intentions.
Well, and there's been one or two times that I can think of where you and I have done something ostensibly for free, but it was more of a, here's a demo of what we think this could look like.
Yeah.
And it was more of a show of good faith. It wasn't something that we knew, it was not a final product.
Oh, that wasn't anything. Yeah, and that was something where it wasn't really like, we've done a couple things where it's almost like a spec thing.
Right.
They're like asking you, hey, what do you think? How could we do this? And you're like, well, this is how we would do it. Now, you can take that or leave it.
Right.
I'm doing that because I want to show you.
We just want to show you what we think you could do with this.
Yeah.
And actually that did pay off for us.
Those pay off. Yeah, sometimes they pay off in different ways than because they're going to pay off.
Right.
Sometimes they pay off just in the fact that person knows that you're a go-getter.
Right. So you really have to balance it depending on the situation.
Yeah.
Do I do this for free? My argument, like we just said, would be if at all possible, do it at a discounted rate, not for free. Do it at a discount and let them know that you're doing it at a discount.
Yeah.
And then give them way more than they want for their money, so they feel like, holy, that guy is
feel guilty about it almost.
Right.
Yeah, you want to make them feel guilty about it.
I know at least one project that we did, we negotiated a smaller price.
Yeah.
And when we turned in our work, they were so blown away
that
we got an upgrade to our price.
Yeah.
And that's what you want.
Yeah, because now next time you just charge them your price.
Right.
And so yeah, that's a tough tightrope, but you're going to encounter that early on, especially because if you're unproven. And see, the more you do, then the more you're like, no, sir. Right. I don't do this for free because this person will pay me this much to do it. So why would I do it for free for you? Kind of a thing.
The big part of this is the psychological game, which is not necessarily always true of other jobs. It is in the workplace. I understand there's politics and things like that, but just in terms of getting the job, the psychology, because you're constantly interviewing. It's like living your life in a constant job interview. Yeah. So you almost have to have the confidence to say, like, why the hell would I do this for free? I'm way more valuable than that. Yeah. And then they believe that you're way more valuable. You kind of have to...
Yeah, but you have to be able to build that. So we've built that value in unique ways in different facets for each of us. But and obviously we don't work the same jobs and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, you have to build that value. So that's why you do have to do some of those discounted or freebies at the front.
Right.
So that you can then be like, well, I did this for $20 and it's really a $700 editing job, but it they put it up on their website or whatever, it's on the internet or it's on TV commercial, whatever it is. So then that becomes a body of work that you can be like...
The next time, each time you do one of these, your
value goes up.
Your value goes up so that even if I've never worked with you before, when you come up and you're like, hey, can you do this for free?
Like, well, I've done all this stuff.
Well, no. I have a television commercial on the TV.
Yeah.
I don't do work for free.
Right.
So I'll do it, but you're going to have to pay me. And I'll give you a discount since it's the first time we work together so you get a good taste in your mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
But after that...
Yeah.
And each time you do it, and eventually you ideally you can work yourself to a place where... No, I don't do anything for discount.
Yeah.
In fact, each time I do work, it goes my pay goes up.
Yeah. So that's I think that's an interesting thing is that you're going to have to do that, but then you can hopefully do it less and less and less.
Right.
But yeah, it's not the most rosy
it's
outlook
not.
Coming out of film school with the finances and stuff.
No,
especially
really
when
not.
you're going to be sitting on ostensibly loans.
Right.
As well.
Yes.
So you're adding, not only will you have your cost of living bills like rent and
you
gas
have
and
massive
electric,
debt.
you're also going to have that other bill once a month for your student loan.
Yep.
So like you're already in the whole, X amount per month that you've got to dig out of every month. And you're not going to start off like I'm being general here. Obviously there's exceptions, but you're not going to start off in a situation where you're just like, cool, I graduated June, I got a job now, I don't have to worry about any of that.
Right.
Like
chances are that
you're going to be month to month for a while.
Yes.
It's going to be month to month for a while, if not a long time. It depends.
Yes.
It just depends.
And this is why, to reiterate a previous podcast topic, make your final film count. Because the more buzz you can have going about yourself leaving film school, the better. You want to be able to go to festivals because you're not going to have the free time, the job security, probably not even the self-esteem to do that when you get out. That's kind of been the topic of today is you're really going to have to fight once you get out of film school. So use every opportunity while you're in film school to make something you can be proud of, you can show around, which still may not get you anywhere.
Yeah. Oh, the other thing that we were going to mention was that you get out and you're like, even if you're, okay, so let's say you get a job at McDonald's, okay, you're going to have whatever your 2 days off a week to make your independent feature film or whatever it is that you were thinking that this is what I'll do. I'll get this job and then I'll make this indie film. Okay. If you decide not to go that route and you go, well, I'm just going to work in the industry per se, you're still not going to have time.
Yeah.
Really you may have a couple more hours on those days where you don't have work after you've already dropped your self-esteem by not being able to figure out who to call that day.
Right.
You may be like, I guess I'll write for a couple hours or something.
But
you're not really, and you won't be able to schedule, like even if you did get like, okay, I got this indie together, how are you going to schedule that regular when you could have someone call you on a Monday and be like, can you work Saturday? It's a $500 gig. And you're like, I need to go do that.
Right.
Like, sorry, we have to change the whole shoot schedule.
Well,
so
and
it's hard to do unless you're just, going to mooch off of someone.
Right. And that's just the facts. And even if you're going to say, like you just said, okay, I've got nothing going on today, I'm going to write my script.
Yeah.
You're basically putting a ton of work and effort into something that may or may not ever take you anywhere.
Yeah.
And you just got to be okay with that.
Yeah. I would almost argue that this is not a personal experience or anything. I'm just thinking about it. Like, boy, what would be ideal is if you were able to write if you were thinking, I'm going to make an independent feature film. There's a lot of people who want to do that as a goal. man, if you could have that thing written by the time you graduate, and then take that summer after film school where you'll probably still have the goodwill of your parents or whoever to live at home, and make it that summer.
Do it right away.
Shoot it that summer. If it takes you an extra year to edit it because now you have a job, that's not as bad. It's the shooting it that's going to kill you.
Right.
And so that would be like almost ideal. If that's,
just keep in mind that the farther away from leaving film school,
the harder it becomes to get that
the less
time.
Goodwill you have in the world.
Well, yeah, and the harder it is just to find time when you're trying to pay bills.
People, because the summer after film school, everybody still is fresh with idealism. They think they're still going to do it.
And everybody's still buddies and working on each other's films.
Correct.
And
they want to do it.
And everyone gets separated and gets their own jobs.
But people will quickly start falling by the wayside.
Well, people will drop out of the industry altogether.
Right.
And then people will go get their jobs and do their different things and spread out all across everywhere. And then it's hard to find those friends to get together to be your crew for free or whatever.
So I guess ultimately our point about this is capitalize on the film school experience in every way possible. Think outside the box. Do anything you can to use that time, because you'll never have that same amount of time like that again.
Yeah.
Unless you're one of those rich kids.
Yeah.
Or you win the lottery.
And if you're a bastard, like Austin said, who gives a crap?
Right.
Because you're a bastard.
Because you're a bastard. And you're probably going to do just fine. Actually. I've worked with too many bastards.
All right. Should we... is there anything that covered it? Is there anything else?
I do too.
That was pretty
good luck. That's the only thing I want to say.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Work hard. And if you're listening to this and you get a job, call me up.
Yeah.
Because I need work.
Yes. All right. Let's move on to what's this?
You've got to know, what is this thing that I have found? What is this? What is this?
What the hell is this?
It's a book.
Oh, okay.
This is a book. It's pages bound together with a story inside.
Oh my God.
I know. For those of you on the younger side, a book is made of paper. They came in these buildings called libraries for many years. God. I know. Now, the book we're talking about this time is called Ready Player One.
Okay.
It's by Ernest Cline. It came out in 2011. Actually, August 16th of 2011. But I found this book absolutely fascinating. Maybe I'm coming a little bit late to the game. I read it, I guess, last fall.
Okay.
And I have not been able to get it out of my head since I read it. Let me give you a brief summary of the plot so you know kind of what we're dealing with here. Okay. The year is 2044, and the world is basically in near ruins. Like poverty, there's war, the Great Recession has taken its toll on the world's economy. There's resources are scarce, so there's war on resources over water and oil, and it's kind of dystopian in that sense. Okay, but at the same time, the internet/gaming culture has kind of taken over the world. So the world's economy actually, this doesn't sound as far-fetched as it should. The world's economy is entirely based on an internet economy. So, like, people have jobs on the internet. People have...
Oh, you don't leave your house?
Rarely do you have to leave your house.
It's like that movie, Surrogates, kind of.
Sort of,
except
yes.
There was no cigarettes.
Right. It's kind of Matrixy in this way.
Okay.
Because you're plugging in, and what it is it's basically a video game called The Oasis, the ontologically anthropocentric sensory immersive simulation, The Oasis, and you plug in there, and anything you want is in there.
Okay.
Basically, if you want to go hang out in the Star Wars world, you just get in your spaceship and you fly over to Star Wars world, because it's like a universe and there's different planets.
Okay.
So inside this picture,
it's like a huge MMO type thing. Almost.
Yes.
Yeah.
But because everybody uses it, the things you buy in there, that's real. Like, those are real transactions. That's where most real business is done nowadays.
Okay.
Because the real world
but you're buying things for a digital.
Yes, but get this.
Or can you buy food for you to eat in your house?
You could go to a pizza shop in the Oasis, and you're like, that pizza smells really... Because it's a fully immersive thing.
Okay, it's like your VR, yeah.
Right. That pizza smells delicious. I'd like some of that pizza. So you buy the pizza, and the pizza shows up at your doorstep.
Oh, okay.
So you buy things. You are
buying actual products.
You can buy actual products as well as virtual products.
Okay.
Okay, so it's both.
Yeah.
Now, entry to the Oasis is free. Anybody can join, which is how this thing got started. We're dealing with a point where now
pretty much everyone's in it.
Everyone's in it.
Yeah.
That's where kids go to school because it's safe. That's where, what I'm saying? In such a dangerous world, this is actually mildly safer.
Okay.
So, but and there's people who there's consoles that are as simple as just your little visors and your little gloves, so you can see and move around and interact. Yeah. All the way up to like a completely immersive thing where every single sensation, it's like you really are in full body in there. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which already, that just sounds like kind of an exciting thing because there's every kind of world in there that anybody could ever imagine.
Yeah.
You could go hang out in Mos Eisley Cantina. You could go fly around the Starship Enterprise.
Okay.
And anything. Now, the story begins when the owner, the creator of the Oasis, okay, all of a sudden, he created the Oasis. He was the Steve Jobs of his day.
Okay.
He becomes a hermit. He disappears for many years. One day, all of a sudden a message pops up saying, "If you're seeing this message, then I am dead."
Okay.
I had no heirs. I had nobody to follow in my footsteps. And one of the greatest experiences I ever had as a little kid was in this Atari game. There was, and you had to find it all on your own. Nobody knew about it. It was what's called an Easter egg. And now, of course, we're all familiar with
DVD Easter eggs and all that kind of stuff.
But basically, he leaves an Easter egg in the Oasis, which is vast.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the Oasis, there's an Easter egg, and if you can find it, you become the heir to his millions and billions and billions of dollars.
Okay.
So of course now everybody goes crazy.
Yeah.
Searching, and he leaves behind. Basically, he grew up in the '80s, so it's a vast puzzle dealing with '80s trivia and '80s. So in the year 2045, like the '80s becomes hot again.
Okay.
And everybody wants to know anything about the '80s. Now it goes on for years and years, and nobody ever finds it until one day, like it's like 6 or 7 years after the quest was announced, and most people thought it was just the ramblings of a crazy old man.
Yeah.
Our main character finds the first key.
Oh, okay. Now don't spoil the book.
No. This is like the first.
Oh, this is the beginning of the book. Okay.
Yeah, he's like the first sentence of the book is like, "This is the day I found the key," or something.
Oh, okay.
So, then from then on becomes this treasure hunt, and as he finds the key, more people start to try to follow in his footsteps. It kind of reawakens the whole quest, and it turns out that there's a corporation that has been paying people to look for this. It's their chief rival. It's the Oasis's chief rival.
Oh, okay.
Because if whoever gains control of that money,
they can then shut it down or switch it into their own thing.
They have complete control of the Oasis.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's what we're dealing with. And so you have this kind of treasure hunt through various galaxies, because you get to go into Star Wars, you get to go all these 80s references, which to someone like me, I enjoy.
Yeah.
You get the video game angle, you get the real life dystopian angle, kind of Matrix-y, kind of Tron-y.
Yeah.
Very, very cool thing. And it also is able to make a statement kind of about how when you make friends and you meet people on the internet, you don't really know who they are. It's because our main character has friends who he knows as their avatar, as their name there. And does that match up when he meets them in person? Does that, so it makes a statement about what's real and what's not. What's, the fact that the Facebooks and the internets are all taking over our lives.
Yeah.
And how do we know if what we're getting into is real or not? And and all that's layered very subtly into what is actually just a fun adventure novel.
Right. That sounds cool.
It's very, very cool.
I've actually heard of that outside of your recommendation. I've heard that getting buzz around. I mean, it's a year and a half old now, but
and it's going to be a movie soon.
Oh, they are making a movie.
They are making a movie, and it's tailor made for making a movie. Like it's when I was reading it, I couldn't help but cast certain people in my head. And
is this just like what is this, like a regular novel, like 300-400 pages, or is it a big fat guy like a Game of Thronesy?
No. It's about 350, between 350 and 400.
It's a regular novel length. Pick it up, read
it reads fast.
Read it in a week or so.
Oh yeah, it reads fast because it's one of those books that
you get cooked into.
Oh, absolutely.
That's cool.
It's easy to get into.
Have to pick that one up.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. And it's a lot of fun. Now, this is the other cool part in relation to this book.
Okay.
Much as there were Easter eggs in the game that they're talking about.
Yeah.
There were Easter eggs in the book.
Okay.
And it began a treasure hunt in the real world, following the clues that were in the book, and someone actually won a real 1984 DeLorean.
Oh, I think that's maybe where part of what I heard it
from.
That's cool.
So it was kind of a meta thing.
It was a double-layered thing,
right.
Yeah.
And on top of that, now, the Oasis is a real thing. Someone that basically
someone's trying to make
someone made the Oasis, and it's right now it's
in this
just
form. It's probably like an MMO type.
Exactly.
Thing.
Right
Yeah.
now it's just a classic MMO.
Yeah.
Word.
Massive. It's just a text based.
Right.
Oh, okay.
But now it's growing. Someone's adding another layer to it.
That's
so
pretty
the
cool.
Oasis is now becoming a real thing, and people. The cool thing about the Oasis MMO is that the whole point of it is that now you can add to it as a user to create your own little area of the Oasis, which is what the point of it was in the book. So in its own little way, it actually
is becoming real.
Correct.
Man, Bill Gates should be the guy behind it.
That's what I'm saying.
Because he can.
And someone is now, and I just read this just recently, someone is now actually trying to hook virtual reality systems up to this Oasis simulation to create so that it leaves the text.
Well, they have that Oculus Rift thing that just came.
That's
out.
That's what they're using, and they're
apparently
trying to
really
now
awesome.
combine that with the MMO to take it out of the text-based world and into a visual-based world.
Yeah,
which would then actually be the Oasis, the beginning of the Oasis, just like it was in the book.
That's pretty cool. Now I really want to read it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very, very exciting to me, and the story's good. It's just an adventure story. There's a love interest. There's
it's got everything going for it.
It's got everything going for it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very nice. All right, we'll go check that.
Go
one
check
out
it out.
Next time you need
Ready
a book to
Player
read.
One.
Yes. All right.
I'm hoping there's going to be a sequel.
Ready Player Two.
Yes.
All right, moving on to a little bit of tech stuff.
You're wondering who I am. Tech stuff, he's got some tech stuff. Software or brand new cam. Tech stuff, he's got some tech stuff. With things to tell you all. Tech stuff, he's got some tech stuff. You're in the tech stuff hole.
Tech stuff. So what I'm going to do today for tech stuff is I'm going to recommend a couple iOS apps for filmmaker types.
Oh, okay. I'd like to hear about this.
There's obviously a ton of those out there, but there's a couple that I've had for a while that I've been using, or from time to time, depending on the project, whatever, that are particularly good to me. And I'm sorry that I don't have Android picks, but I don't have an Android phone.
Right. Well, there's nothing you can do about that.
I'm guessing that a fair number of these probably are available on both areas. So the first one I want to talk about is called Lapsit, and it's a time-lapse program. And
okay.
The iPhones, you can ask anybody, they'll tell you that they have some of the best phone cameras around.
Yes, that is definitely true.
So this is a time-lapse program, and there's a free version that'll allow you to do whatever, 480 resolution, and then you can pay, it's only like $2 to get full 1080 or 720p, depending on what iPhone version you have.
Okay.
But it's great because it's fully controlled time-lapse. So now, interestingly enough, you're going to want to plug in your phone. If you're planning on doing a 4-hour time-lapse, you're going to want to plug your phone in because your phone's going to be dying.
Yeah, right. No, that makes sense.
That makes sense. But it's very nice to be able to kind of do that on the fly, especially if your main camera that you shoot things on doesn't have that capability.
Right.
Or you're shooting other stuff and you're like, oh, I just want to get this time-lapse while I'm shooting the rest of the shoot.
Or you could use it for a special feature type thing, like a making of.
Yeah.
You want to show...
Titles, they're great. Time lapses are really fun for title screens or whatever.
Yeah.
So you've got the full function, so you can tell it, how many frames you want it to take per second, and then you get out your calculator and figure out how long your shot's going to be.
Right.
And it's really nice, and the auto features on the phone are so good that the lighting's going to look nice just because of the built-in camera on the phone.
Right, it's good.
So it's really powerful, nice imagery, and then you can take it and put it into whatever you're editing with, and you got a 720p time-lapse shot. So that's a simple one, but it's really nice, and you do have all that control as far as, do I want 1 frame a second, or do I want 1 frame every 5 seconds, or depending on how long you want your shot to be.
Yeah.
There's another one just called Light Meter.
I've seen this one.
Guess what it is? It's a light meter.
No, I've seen this one. In fact, I've seen people on sets using Light Meter.
Well, I've seen, and I don't know what app, I have seen one where you actually can put the little dome over your phone's camera, and I think they have a different app. This one's just for straight up iPhone or iPod Touch. It's just called Light Meter, and it's very simple. So I know that there's a couple out there that cost more that have more functionality.
Right.
But this one's just a very simple light meter. So you set the ISO, and then you can either set the frame rate or the f-stop that you want to be at, and it'll tell you what you need to set the other settings to. So
That's
it's
amazing.
straight up light meter. A little bit less useful when you're shooting video nowadays because you don't really... You just expose it till it looks right, right? Like you don't... Like, I mean, I'm sure there are people who use light meters, but there's no such thing as an ASA or an ISO.
Right.
Video.
Right. So
you're just white balancing and then exposing it properly using your eyes.
Yeah.
And you shoot it. So it's not quite as popular, but if you're using like DSLRs, they do still have that sort of... You can get an equivalent of
or
an
if by
ASA
chance
or an ISO.
you get that camera we talked about.
Right, that one would be working, the Blackmagic camera. And then two more I want to cover real quick. There's one called Movie Slate. This one's a little bit more expensive. I think it's about $9.
I've definitely seen this one. They use it on a few TV shows that I've seen.
This is pretty darn useful.
Yeah.
If you really get into the full functionality, it's really useful, and they've been continually updating it. It's a little bit more expensive. You can actually have it. It's basically a clapboard, and you can actually have it clap, which is nice.
Oh, it was The Hobbit. They used this on The Hobbit.
Oh, they were using it on The Hobbit with their iPad?
Yes.
Yes. So you can actually, I think you have to buy it from them, but they do have a cable where you can actually sync the time code to your camera like you would see in those big expensive $700 slates where their time code's sunk. So you can actually buy a little cable for I think like $30. That'll allow you to do that, which is way cheaper if you have an iPad. But you can basically, not only will it just be your slate, which is nice, even if you're not shooting, if you're shooting sync sound anyways, you don't necessarily need the clapping. But you might want the slate to mark your shot, your scene, all that info that you would want anyway. So it's great to just have it in there. And what's nice is that it also becomes like a log sheet because you type in all that info and it'll carry it over. And so you just change the shot and then now it's logged every time you took a shot. So you can take that and get it printed out or whatever.
What an amazing modern world we live in.
You like to say that.
I do.
So that's a good one. If you've got an iPad especially, you can do it on your phone. Obviously, you'll have to bring the phone real close to the camera to see it. But if you have an iPad,
it's better, yeah.
Really nice. And then the last one is called Pro Prompter. This is another one that's a little bit more expensive.
Pro Prompter.
And this is going to be for you iPad, iPhone, if you have both, or an iPod Touch. Because this is a program where you make your iPad into a teleprompter.
Nice.
So not only could you just mount or hold your iPad right next to the camera, right above, below, left or right, and have it be a prompter, they actually have for under $200 for $100, or you could make this yourself. Little mounts where your iPad becomes the screen and they give you the reflected, reflective piece of glass that you shoot through, and then your iPad reflects up onto it as a true prompter.
Oh, nice.
And you can buy these things for like $120. They have them all over eBay. People just make them. Like, there's no like real like official one.
Well, I'm sure that
they all work pretty good.
I'm sure if there isn't now, there will be.
Yeah. So you can actually get an actual prompter set up for your iPad. But with this program, you can then you can mirror the text or whatever, depending on if you're just holding up the iPad or using a reflective piece of glass.
Right.
But the nice thing about it is you can then, if you have it on an iPad and an iPhone or iPod Touch, you can control it from the phone.
Oh, okay.
So not only is it, you can edit right then and there if people are like, I don't like this, or space that out more.
Right, you can just change it.
Because oftentimes people need that different spacing or timing.
Sure.
And you control the speed and the scroll with your thumb scrolling on your iPhone, controls the iPad.
Okay.
And so basically, you know how much prompters cost.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, that's a whole system.
And much less getting like because usually you rent the prompter and the person who runs the prompter.
Right.
So you're at $1,200 a lot of times for the day.
Yeah.
So this is a solution where, okay, let's say you didn't have an iPad. Okay, you can spend $800, get an iPad, the program, and a mirror for it one time, and now you've got it forever, and you can just run it off your phone.
That's amazing.
So Pro Prompter's a really nice one. So the Movie Slate Pro Prompter are the more premium level apps. Lapsit anybody can grab. Light Meter anybody can grab. There's another program I'd like to hear if anyone's used this. It's called Magisto, and supposedly it kind of does a rough edit for you.
Huh.
Supposedly if you shoot sequenced stuff, it can somehow magically know where the shots go and put them in order. I have the
skeptical.
app. I've never used it. I'm skeptical of it. So we'll post it on the Facebook. If you've used this app or know anything more about it,
let us know.
Let us know.
I'm
interested. I just haven't had the time to like come up with a little miniature story to attempt shooting on it that I cared enough about.
Right.
So those are some recommendations. They're fun little apps you can get that actually become useful to you in a career sense. So that was a quick little tech stuff.
Right.
So the last thing we want to do
is film review.
A movie review, and we have a new
jingle.
A new jingle.
That's right. Here it is.
Here we go. This is movie review. See?
A plus.
All right.
It's a film report.
It's a movie review. The movie report.
Right.
All right. So Oblivion.
Wait, I just want to very quickly say the structure for our film reviews.
Yes, we need to go over this
because we've never done this before.
We did a film review, I think, in like the first episode, but now we're making it
official.
Yeah.
And the way we're going to do it is like a report card, like you would get in, I don't know, film school?
Yeah.
So we're going to give the film a report card. And the reason we're doing it like this, for those of you who care, is so that you can make up your own mind about whether or not this looks like a film for you. If you're the type of person who loves a good action scene, loves good special effects, doesn't care so much about, the music or the story or whatever else, you can then see, well, obviously that was really good.
Yeah.
Our goal here is to somewhat replicate what Roger Ebert, I think, did for us. We don't want to sit here and tell you don't go see it because it's bad. We want to tell you what was good about it, what we didn't like about it, what we did like about it. But if you're looking for this, you might like it.
Yeah. So we've got a schoolyard grading system. So it's going to be pluses and minuses on letter grades.
Yeah.
And we've broken it down into 4 categories.
Yes.
So we've got story, character, technical, music, and then the 5th being our overall score. And so we're each going to give out our own score here because we both saw it.
Yes. The movie is Oblivion.
The movie's Oblivion, which we have alluded to. Mm-hmm. So for story, and we'll basically go down the line and discuss it for 2 minutes and then move to the next thing. So story, what did you think? Let's talk about what we thought about it before we give our grades.
I thought, in terms of the actual events that were occurring in the storyline, I was intrigued the whole time.
Yeah.
I wanted to know more. I wanted to hear. Now, I can't say as the story was ever ahead of me. I was always either right with the story or in a number of parts, and unfortunately in a number of key parts, I was ahead of the story. I was like, I know, like, this is probably what they're going to do. Now, I often do that, and then they don't do that, and I'm surprised, and I like it.
Yeah.
This was one of those times where, like, oh, is that what it's going to be? Yes. Every time, yes.
Yeah. There was a couple times where I was like, oh, I think they're going to do this, and then they did something that was not as cool as what I thought they were going to do.
That did happen as well.
I liked the story. It wasn't mind blowing.
No.
I don't want to give out spoilers.
Right.
This movie has a lot of twists that are big reveals.
But basically, we're dealing with Tom Cruise cleaning up after a war with aliens.
With aliens.
And he's like one of the last people on Earth, but he's just cleaning up, and he's got 2 weeks left until he gets to basically retire.
To go with everyone else to
Titan,
moon of Titan,
where everyone else is hiding out.
Yeah. So, and it's all sci-fi. So there's a lot of twists in the story. So that's why I don't want to talk too specifically about it. There's a ton of twists.
Unfortunately, none of these twists I personally felt were that surprising.
There was a couple. There was a couple that got me, but they weren't. Like, I didn't expect, but they weren't like, oh my god, that's so cool.
Right.
When they happened, I was like, oh, I didn't think that's what was going to happen. Okay, moving on.
Right. No, right. It wasn't, and I don't say it in any negative, because there's plenty of stories where I was like, I've seen that before, but the way you're doing it is so cool that I don't care.
And I didn't feel like there was anything where I wasn't bored. I wasn't like, oh god, I'm so far ahead of this movie.
No, I was never bored.
It was right on where it needed to be. The story I thought was told well.
It wasn't
what happened.
It wasn't an exciting, mind-blowing story, but it wasn't a bad story.
And the story that he's telling is interesting enough for me.
Yeah.
So I ended up giving the story a B.
Okay, I gave the story a C+.
Okay.
Because it was a C. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was not anything above average. It was fairly average.
It was average.
What I would consider competent.
I gave it a B because I liked it better than let's say the Avengers. This was a more interesting story to me than the story of like the Avengers.
Yes.
Now I guarantee you the Avengers would get a higher score at the end than this movie's going to get.
Oh yeah, but see, the only reason I would say
because it was different and it was fresh. I'm giving a little extra credence because guess what? Hollywood made an original script.
Okay.
That never ever happens, and I want them to do it. So I don't want to trash this.
I understand that. I just wish it had more to say.
Well, that's going to be part of my final analysis.
Okay, we'll get to that then.
Yeah, but I'm so happy that they made an original script.
Yeah.
It is original. There's a lot of derivative things in here, but there's a lot of.
But it's not based on
It's not based on anything
other than the writer's own work,
and it does have some cool ideas involved with it.
Yeah.
So I give it a B. You give it a C+.
Correct.
Now moving on to characters. This is where
the movie fell.
This is where
down.
it gets dismal for me, and this is weird because I liked this movie.
I do too.
Yet I feel like in having to sit and critically think about these 4 categories, it sounds like I hate this movie.
That's kind of how I felt too.
But I would recommend going and seeing it.
I would recommend it, especially seeing it on the big screen because, well, we'll get to the technical part of it, but it's a big screen film.
Yeah.
But you know what was the characters. And this is, to me, the number one problem with this movie is that it's rare that I see a film with as little character development as this movie had.
There was hardly any. And it's part of the problem with it is that it's built into the plot.
Yes.
The reason that they hardly have any character is one of the twists that is revealed.
Right. But it doesn't.
But why would you do that?
Right. That doesn't help me.
Yeah.
It doesn't help me to say that because technically speaking, it's built into the plot of WALL-E too because they're robots.
Yeah.
And yet there's plenty of character development in WALL-E.
Yeah.
So
and they do crack the door open with Tom Cruise's character for the potential to have really good character development.
Right.
It's just not.
And actually when it comes to characters is usually where I will discuss the actors as well. Yeah. I'm actually not going to blame the actors this time around.
The actors were all great.
I'm not going to say they were great.
Well, they were fine.
But they were at least adequate. If not, I actually thought Tom Cruise was doing a good job, and I don't tend to like Tom Cruise a whole lot.
Yeah.
Because usually he's doing his Tom Cruise thing.
Yeah.
Versus this time I thought he was doing a good job.
Yeah.
But he just had nothing to work with.
Yeah.
And yes, part of it was that it was built into the story.
Yeah.
And part of it was that they just didn't do it.
Yeah.
Like you could have had what they had built into the story.
Yeah.
And built in some characters so that we're getting something to latch onto here. And I felt that there was very little. And most offensively, actually, the women in the movie are pretty much blow-up dolls.
Yeah.
Like, Tom Cruise gets a little bit of character development. We know that he's a curious person.
Yeah.
That's as far as it goes. That's literally as far as it goes. He's curious. End of character development for Tom Cruise. The women? None.
Yeah.
None.
It's true.
So,
What'd you give it? Character-wise,
I gave it a D.
I gave it a D+.
Oh, okay.
So we're right there.
Yeah, and the only reason I didn't give it an F is because there was at least one piece. Because an F to me, a failure in character development, you have to actively go out of your way now to discourage character development.
Yes.
So and I'm not saying that like that's a whole thing unto itself. When it comes to my reviews, it's going to be hard for you to get an A+.
Yeah.
Because you really have to show me something special.
Yeah.
And it's going to be really, really hard for you to get an F in my book.
Yeah.
Because you really have to show me something special there, too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Oblivion, you should be on note. You got a really bad score from me because you got a D.
Yeah.
Right. Because it wasn't even like, oh, it was adequate.
Yeah.
No. There was almost none.
Yeah. All right, so music, and a lot of people are probably like, why is music one of your categories? Because we like film music, okay?
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah. And because music I've seen movies where the movie was excellent and the music upset me.
Yeah, or where...
Like the movie Away We Go. Have you seen that one?
No.
John Krasinski, Maya Rudolph?
No.
That movie is really... It's a fantastic movie.
Music was
but it's just the whole score of the movie as a guy who's a good...
Oh, man. Yeah.
Or, and I know this one you'll agree with, a lot of Clint Eastwood's movies.
Oh, God.
Great movies.
Trumpet and guitar.
Trumpet and guitar, though.
Can't stand it.
See what I'm saying? That's why music's its own category.
Yeah. So I gave this I think you're probably going to... I gave it an 8 for music.
An 8? So you gave it a C+.
What's a B?
A B. Yeah. Oh, it's a B. You gave it a B.
I gave it a B. Why can't I give it an 8?
Because we're doing...
I know. I wrote down my score and number 1 to 10, and then I altered them to letters, and then I just read the number. All right. You know what? B's and 8s look the same.
They do. I'm just picturing like you bring your report card home to your mom.
I got an 8.
In science, you got an 8.
It's a B.
It's a B, Mom.
Shh, quiet.
I get it.
All right, I give it a B.
You gave it a B. I give it a B+.
Okay, I thought you were maybe going to go higher.
No.
Because you did review the score,
and I liked the score.
Yeah. I liked it too, but it kept reminding me how much it wasn't the Tron score that was so much better. That was my problem with it.
Okay, fair enough.
That's what it did for me.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
And I think it had a theme, but I think it could have had a stronger theme. If it had...
It did have a theme, and I noticed it in the movie.
Yeah.
And I liked it.
I liked it too. I felt if that would have been a stronger theme...
Yeah.
Because think about the Tron theme.
Yeah.
Like, that was great.
Yeah.
If it had been a slightly stronger theme, it would be getting an A for me, because I liked the score.
Yeah.
The score is one of the strongest bits for me.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about technical?
Technical, I have to give this movie an A+.
I gave it an A+ too. The
Just
visual
because-
effects are top notch. Like there's no better visual.
The
effects
sound
out
effects
there.
are awesome.
The sound design was great.
The
those little robots.
Right. The costuming, I loved the costuming.
I like everything visually about this movie.
I do too. I like the way it looked, and most importantly, the visual style, the production design on this movie, which is really Joseph Kosinski.
That's his style, and
it's
I
his
love it.
strong point.
Yeah.
Tron looked amazing.
Yeah.
This movie looked amazing.
The shots, the imagery, it's just fantastic.
Just fantastic.
And he's one of these directors who can get the best visual effects out of that team.
Yes, and he also, it's just his sense of design, the way he does this. It is just beautiful.
It's just you either
It's
like
sleek.
his thing or you don't. I love it.
I love it. I want him to I want him to build me a house in like the style of Tron or this movie.
Yeah,
because it's so futuristic. It's everything I want futuristic style to be.
Yeah,
it's that kind of quadrilateral angle type.
Yeah, and a lot of visual homages that were obviously intentional homages that I really liked.
Mm-hmm. And it was sad because actually one of my favorite characters in the entire book was a drone, 166.
Movie, yeah.
And they have these drones in the movie. These are the guys that Tom Cruise is taking care of. There's these little ball robots.
Yeah.
And there's something I thought very endearing about them.
They're like defending these giant things that suck up water from like the aliens on the planet.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like these little drones, and they turn on. They're like, and they have these little buzzes that they do.
Yeah.
And on the occasion, which I will say, one of them gets injured.
Yeah.
They scream. They're like, Marr!
Yeah.
They go, I don't know. There was more character in the robots, and I think it's once again a symptom of Joseph Kosinski's styles. He focuses so much
on the visual,
and the aesthetic of the movie,
and it comes out great.
It comes out amazing.
Yeah.
This is why I recommend see it in the theaters.
Yeah.
If you're going to see it in the theaters because it is a big screen film.
Yeah, and there's some great imagery.
And
I would say, like, despite whatever the scores that we get it's good enough that you will be entertained the whole time.
You'll be entertained, yes.
Yeah. It's just that when you start to think critically about it,
it's not very good.
You might find some things that you're disappointed in.
And there are a few plot holes here.
Because I have to say that if you asked me right when I walked out of the theater what I thought of it versus what I thought now, I liked it. I would give it a much higher score the moment I walked out.
I would not have. I would give it exactly the same score.
Okay.
But I'm very, very sensitive to character development in movies. So, okay, what is your overall final?
So I give it a C+.
C+?
Yeah.
I think that's a fair grade. I think that's where I want to go, too.
Okay.
Simply because, on one hand, you have the visual style, the technical achievement of this movie.
Those really bring it up.
Whoa!
Those really bring the
and
score
it's original,
up.
And it's, I can honestly say you've never seen things like this before. Like,
yeah,
you're going to see things in here. There's a motorcycle in here that you're going to be like, I want one.
Yeah. I even liked the big spaceship in space. I thought that was cool looking. It was very simple, cool. But it was really cool looking.
Everything's very clean lines. It's very beautiful, and you have such high highs with that, and then such low lows.
And it's a really cool world that he's come up with.
Yeah,
but then
I wanted to go there.
Yeah, and I believe that
I just didn't meet anybody when I got there.
Yeah,
that's ultimately how I felt about the movie. I went to an awesome place. I just didn't meet anybody when I got there.
Yeah.
So that's why I give it a C+. You'll enjoy it in the theaters, especially if you want just some action and stuff.
Yeah,
go
if you
see
just
it.
want your first summer movie, go to it.
Go to it.
Absolutely go to it.
And if you're going to see it on the big screen.
Yeah,
because it's a visually amazing.
If you're wanting the next District 9, you're not going to get it.
Correct.
And that's,
you're gonna have to wait.
Kind of what I was hoping for.
Yeah,
I'm not like District 9, so that's ultimately the reason that I can't give it a B is because it's a sci-fi film with nothing to say.
Right.
And that's the point of sci-fi.
Well, I'm going to take a quick pause right here so you can cut this out if you don't like it. Ultimately, the only thing this movie had to say is that human beings are interchangeable and you shouldn't care about anybody.
I'm not going to take that out. That's not spoiling anything.
Okay, because that's kind of that was the only possible message, and I don't think that was what they were trying to say.
No, but yeah, typically I would argue that sci-fi tends to be something that can tackle large issues.
Yeah, you got something to say.
Because you can do it in a way where you're not going to offend anyone because you're in a strange
when the
world.
blue people versus purple people, you're not necessarily saying anything about real people, but you are.
Yeah.
But
and so I didn't feel like I didn't leave with any sort of, it's really cool. Like District 9 obviously has tons of different things it's saying, and it gets them all across, or at least poses them in a way that makes you think.
Right.
There's nothing that you're walking out thinking
It didn't
about.
even have the basic Star Trek. Wouldn't it be great if this is what tomorrow was like?
Yeah, or even Star Wars, which is that's all it is good versus evil.
Right.
But it has something to say about good versus evil.
This has nothing to say because we didn't meet anybody.
Yeah.
You left with the same amount of knowledge about the characters as you went in with.
Yeah.
And that's a problem when I
Yeah.
just spent 2 hours with them.
Yeah. So if you're wanting a real interesting,
If you want something that's going to make you think deeply, this is not it.
yeah. But if you want to go and watch some amazing, and I do mean amazing, but maybe potentially the best visuals that we're going to see this summer.
Right.
It really
could be. Then go.
And if you want your first summer movie, this is probably it.
Yeah.
It's a fun ride.
You'll enjoy it.
Yeah. So there it is. So hopefully that you like our format that we've come up with here in order to make it somewhat scholarly. Let us know if you don't. But listen, we all know no one's going to let us know anything.
Yeah.
Just getting all depressed about it. So that is, I think, the podcast for the day.
Yeah. What's our topic next week?
Our topic next week is visual style, which ties right into our review.
Yes.
Of Oblivion.
So we're gonna have a discussion on the pros and cons and everything of visual style.
Yeah, and we'll probably end up using a lot of Hollywood directors who have it or don't have it, but we're gonna try and obviously tie it back into film school or
how it can help you
after film school.
Yes,
should you have your own or not?
Exactly, and you should.
Like that.
So yeah, go check us out on iTunes. Give us 5 stars.
We want to be on the like us on iTunes or subscribe. Facebook.com/FITB Podcast. I can't say it enough.
Yep. I guess if you want to, you can go to YouTube.com and do the
if you want to
the FITB films, but we'd prefer you go to Facebook and like us there.
Yes, but if you want to watch it on YouTube, you should.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah. And then filmtheblankfilms.com as always, and the Twitters.
The hub for all your fill in the blank needs.
Yes, the Twitters. Greg is here at GPL Films.
And I, Austin, am here at AustinJD14.
So
get to it, folks.
We will see you next time we see you.
Yes.